Good morning, all you wonderful people. It is Friday morning, and that means it's time for another Friday weekly recap. So sit back in your chairs, grab your coffee. Let's do a little chatting. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Video Call-In Show. That show that invites regular people, regular good people on this program, talk about whatever you want to talk about. Could be the topic of the day, could be current events, could be personal promotions. It could just be chewing the fat about the weather with your old buddy Jim. That is me. I am your host of the Video Call-In Show. Live every Sunday through Thursday evening, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Friday mornings, as we're looking at right here, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, joining is real easy. All you've got to do is point your browser to zoom.us, click on Join a Meeting, and enter that meeting number when it asks you to. You show up in my green room, and I'll bring you up first come, first serve. As many as I possibly can for about an hour, because that's how things work. I don't want to burn you out. I don't want to burn out. Besides that, it seems that lately I've had a lot of trouble getting out my guest cuts. It's just a time thing, folks. I'm doing the best I can over here. But today is oh, by the way, if that's content that sounds cool to you and you might want to be on the show or just hang out with all these wonderful people, then by all means, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you don't miss another episode. All right. Having said that, I want to do a little more house cleaning today, like I did last night, in that I've been exploring. I've said this in several shows. In fact, we'll go over it a little bit here before we get into the meat of the program. I've said on several shows that I'm looking for alternatives. I should say compliments to YouTube, only because of how I feel about this conglomerate. And there are a couple out there. There is BitChute, which hasn't yet enabled live streaming. For me, that's devastating. I need live streaming. But BitTubers, that's BITUBERS.com is another option that I'm exploring deeply. Thanks to Brad from Drone Kings in Darwin for pointing that out. That does have live streaming. And yes, I've created an account. I'm working with putting things together. And I think what I'm going to do is one of my shows, I don't know which one just yet, but one of my shows, it'll probably be either this one or it will be the Sunday Smash, where I invite all good comers to a panel show, will be broadcast live on just that channel in hopes of migrating at some point. When the audience moves, I will move as well. But I want to do everything I can to help that move. Before I go into each, summarize each of the shows this week, I do want to say hello to Susan Hamilton. How you doing? Good to see you. Living Yes, good morning to you. Posh Notions, good morning. Good to see you. Not a great game. Bonjour. Soulless Trench Coat. What's up? Well, we're about to find what's up. Find out what's up. Good morning, David, the producer. How you doing, man? Good to see you as always. So yeah, I'm thinking that's going to be a pretty good plan here. But I'm pretty excited about it because it's a new platform. I get to try out new things. And we'll just see how that goes. But hey, let's talk about the weekend review, since that is the subject of this particular show every Friday morning. Blended Whiskey, how you doing? Welcome to the show. So Monday, we talked about reoccurring dreams. This was a subject that was brought to my attention by Mr. Lodak. And when you go on that actual show, when you watch that video, his link is in the description. That's how this works, by the way. When someone suggests a topic and I decide to run with it because it either interests me or I think it would interest you folks, then I absolutely will credit you for that. And I so appreciate the topic ideas. I've often said that one of the toughest things about what I do is trying to come up with topic ideas that will, one, elicit conversation, two, interest me at all, because, I've always got to talk about my topic prior to bringing on guests. Well, not all the time, but it does happen occasionally. In fact, there have been times where I've talked for an hour straight without guests. So I've got to enjoy the topic and have something to say about it, and think that my audience might have something to say about it, and then I'll use it. So I definitely credit. But this one in particular was cool because we don't normally think of them. I know they come up in conversation, but you never normally think about reoccurring dreams until it's actually asked of you, or it just pops into your head, which is for me extraordinary. I'm a little shocked about that because they're so ingrained in our memory that it's astounding, actually. So we had a lot of good guests on to tell us about their recurring dreams. I talked a bit about mine. It was actually pretty cool. Now Tuesday I asked what makes you happy, and I opened it up to people, places, things. It doesn't matter where do you go when you need to find yourself in a better mood. And that was cool because I found out a lot more about my guests than I ever thought I would. Some people found out more things about me than they thought they would. Can you tell I'm a rebel right now? Do you see the sun on my face? This this is this is production faux pas 101. You never have a window behind you, but I'm a rebel. I don't care. I hope I don't look washed out. Yeah. But yeah, what makes you happy was an interesting one, in that a whole lot of my guests told me exactly what makes them happy, and that was awesome. And I think it's good. One thing we learned from that show was it's very positive to remember those things that make you happy as often as you can, because it's so easy to forget. And I don't think that we should forget. So I loved that show. Now, Wednesday was a particularly interesting evening. I went off on a rant, which I will do on occasion, especially when it's just. Before I get into that, I do want to say hello to Stacy Morgan. How you doing? Good morning to you, my friend. Atypical Hustlers. It's going pretty good, man. It's really going pretty good. Thank you for asking. Jenny Marseth, how you doing, Jenny? Good to see you. And did I see someone else? Maybe not. Okay. So if you guys are wondering why people have wrenches, those are people who have actually been on the show. People, that have proved trustworthy. Well, oddly enough, I'll talk about it here in a minute. We had some weird stuff happen last night, which was kind of fun. But yeah, those people that come on the show and are wonderful people. And I got to say that 99% of the people, maybe more than that, who have come on the show are actually wonderful people. I enjoy talking to them. I invite them back. They've been back on. Look at Ed from Flash in Your Pan. He's been on no less than, I want to say, 15, 16 times. Love having Ed on. Ed has become a good offline friend. Ed, if you're watching this now or later, I did see your text, but I didn't see it until it was too late. So maybe we can talk early next week about next weekend. Champworks Garage, that's who I missed. Yep. I saw you come in and you actually left a long message there. Let me read that real fast. My son, what is so difficult about this is the amount of content already existing on YouTube. Wouldn't all be transferred to a new platform. I use YouTube for lots and lots of research. Well, that's not true, son. If you look at my BitChute, and that's the problem with BitChute is people pointing out how poor their search engine is. Sometimes videos get unseated really quickly. But if you look at my BitChute account, I've got YouTube tied into it. So nearly everything that I do automatically transfers to BitChute full, which is nice. And I think that BitTubers is the same way. So we'll find out about that. I'm still investigating BitTubers. So not only is it a backup for me, but well, I mean, I've actually got them all locally as well, but it's actually a nice repository, and there's I have a total of one subscriber on BitChute because I don't do anything but allow my videos to be transferred. But I tell you, I've got almost 2,000 views, which is shocking because I haven't done any marketing on BitChute at all. So they're getting shown. It's just you know, you'd have to work at it. And with BitTubers, if BitTubers turns out to be a viable alternative, a non-censorship alternative, then I am really excited about it. But that's what I'm looking for, is one of those an entity that does not filter content outside of the law, because that's the way it is. Any content should be acceptable as long as it doesn't break the law. I mean, that we are a nation of laws, and I know this is a global economy in some sense, but still, uh, figure out a way to apply all laws depending on distributorship. I mean, these people can follow us around, and this is a great segue into my Wednesday show, which was again a rant. Uh, I was talking now. I know I only have the YouTube icon up there, but since their parent company is Google, it is my estimation. I don't think we got any kids in here, but it's my estimation that they're both fucking evil as hell. And I was still am pissed off. Hello, Chris Hope. How you doing? uh, I'm not going on a rant again. Don't worry about that. I'm just talking about my Wednesday show. Now, yes, I went off on them. I was brutal, but they deserve it. And they also deserve to die a slow, painful death, which is why I recommend DuckDuckGo as a search engine. And I am trying to find an alternative video platform that doesn't think that social engineering is their job. Because if there's nothing more irritating than that, I can't think of it. Do-gooders, both good intentions and bad, are evil, in my opinion. Absolutely, unequivocally evil. So that was Wednesday's show. A happy topic, right? I followed up what makes you happy with what makes me extraordinarily unhappy. Oh well, contrast. That's what it's all about, my friends. Contrast. So moving on from that, last night I asked people what their favorite age is, and no, Brad, Drone Kings and Darwin, I did not mean the Ice Age. I did not mean the Middle Ages. I, I meant what number, what year, and I should have been more clear. I take full and utter responsibility for that. I should have been more clear. I meant what age was your favorite? Got some interesting answers. Some of my guests were young and didn't have a whole lot of experience, so they chose early ages. Now, even myself, I chose 16 because that is one of the largest milestones in America. That is, in that the rite of passage, right? You get to finally get a job, drive a car, huge amounts of responsibility incurred at what is a relatively young age. I didn't know how young 16 was until I got older. Believe me. Jenny Marceth says 19 is my favorite age. Well, fortunately for you guys, the reason I have this Friday recap, if I could talk and say it correctly, is to give everyone a chance to jump back into those. You didn't have to retract that. Is to jump back into those topics of the week or anything else. That is. I don't know that I've said that enough. Anything else. Now, what comes of that normally is a guest cut, and I'm gonna have to cover this every time. That guest cut is for you to add to your playlists of mentions. Look at the bottom of my channel, and what you'll see is I've got an entire playlist devoted strictly to off-site videos where I've made an appearance or someone's mentioned me or something like that. And it gives love to those people who I assume gave love to me In most cases, I know because I watched it and got to see. But that's yeah. Wait, I'm supposed to be giving my teens responsibility. Yes, posh notions. I actually had a life lesson in there. As a parent, or yeah, parents, make your kids pay for their own gas if you don't do anything else. Hopefully, make them chip in on the insurance and make them get a job at 16. I know it's going to get tough if they continue to keep. And this is going to be an opinion that some are going to disagree with. But the number one killer of teenage jobs, and that is learning early skill sets, is a high minimum wage. Think about that for a minute. Employers are going to hire people more skilled, and that removes most teenagers. It's really a sad thing when you think about it, because it's self-defeating, because now you are going to create a whole generation of kids that don't have any basic skills. When you work at McDonald's or Bonanza or something like that, you learn life skills. You learn how to be on time for a schedule. You learn how to take care of customers if that's, what you the first job you had, that sort of thing. You just learn so much. And what oh, that's why. Okay. And that is so important. We take it for granted. We don't even think about how much that actually shaped us. And I think by driving them out of the marketplace, we're doing ourselves a giant disservice. How often? Here's a great question for my older viewers. How often do you go to an establishment and you don't get a thank you? You don't get common courtesy out of the people who are serving you or helping you, or that sort of thing. Thank you, Jelly Duck. How you doing, Jelly Duck, by the way? Good to see you, my friend. Well, that speaks directly to that. If you don't have experience treating customers right, then you're not going to help your employees treat customers right either. And it's just a horrible wheel. Looks like our stream's bad. Let me know, guys, if we're stutter stepping at all. This is typical. But hey, having said all that, let's bring a friend of the show up and see what he's up to today.
Morning, Jim.
Good morning, Angel. How are you?
Doing well, TGIF.
Same to you, my friend.
But hey, at least I could wake up in the morning eating a bag of David the producer chips.
Yes, of course.
There was one thing I was going to get right quick. Give me a second.
Sure. Yeah.
Pop one of these into my mouth. Hashtag not sponsored. These Listerine ready tabs. I'm gonna pop one in, and David, the producer, you might need one yourself for that producing bad breath of yours.
How do you know if Dave's got bad breath?
He's always having to tell people to go to a set and such, even though he's no director. A producer is as busy as a director is.
Angel, how do you come up with this stuff, man?
I don't know. I just do. But hey, just enjoy it and don't lick with it.
No. I'm going to enjoy it, and I have to live with it.
I love you guys, and I love David. It would be like a dream of mine for him to come to one of my streams someday. But hey, David, I know you're a busy man, but if you ever have producing duty off one day, I would love for you to join. You are an awesome man.
You had a pretty good stream going last night, my friend.
Yeah, I did. It was pretty enjoyable. And I was just asking to people to keep on sharing because I wanted to keep the number rate at the way it was, because that's like the most average number that I've had in a while. Because usually, whenever I do a stream, it's usually like between like 3 to 7 people, and 9 to 12 has been the new average lately I've seen, and I just want to keep it that way. But the most people I've ever had in one stream of mine was a total of 42 people. And I someday would like to try to break that record, but I don't want to come off as demanding and such. But as long as people share it out, post it where they can, and try to bring some more people over to your channel or mine, I can try to break that number someday. But I just don't want the people to accuse me of being a beggar and such.
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a fine line, isn't it?
Yeah.
We all want to be supported. And I've said you've heard me say this several times, Angel, that I'm not going to monetize. All I want the 1K for is the
Yeah, I'm not gonna monetize
community.
either. I mean, I just want to get the numbers there and such, and have the and I don't care about the super chat. I mean, I want to be able to get donations here and there, but the donations I want used to most of the time would be through PayPal or Cash App.
Sure, yeah, exactly, because they don't take near the cut that
Percentage
you.
as YouTube does.
Right, 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 and that's another reason
I'm
I.
not taking 30% of every producing deal David does. David, I have to mess with you on this Friday night because you know what, David? I'm gonna get you high today. It's Friday. You ain't got no producing job. And you ain't got shit to do.
Before we get any further with that, Angel, I want to say hello to Patty Broussard. I'm sorry I didn't see you earlier, and thanks for being here. And also to Muscle Car Appraisal, how you doing? I'm assuming that's Jim. Good to see you, Jim. And let's see, one more thing. David mentioned LBRY. No, David, I have not looked into that yet, but I'm looking at. I did a search on it, and I'm seeing it now. I'm going to go check that out. Okay, good. Thank you for that. Thank you for waiting there,
I just
Angel.
wanted to put some entertainment in David's day and your guys's because we all need to start our Friday night off to a good start, and having a good laugh is one of the ways I've learned.
That's absolutely right, Angel. That's absolutely right. Hey, I got to ask you a question about your shirt, man.
Yeah.
Are you working there or something?
No, this was a former employee shirt that I got at a thrift store. It kind of looks like that I do have a job because of the way it's designed. But no, this was a former employee shirt that I got when I went clothes shopping at a local thrift store. I don't know if it was a Goodwill or what, but it was some from a thrift store, and it's a North Dakota Corn Council shirt.
Wonderful,
And no,
wonderful.
I'm not growing corn, and nor am I going to shuck it. David can shuck my corn anytime he wants and turn it into a potato
Angel,
chip.
Angel. I know you're just poking fun, but that's smart, man. Is going to that's smart going to thrift stores. I used to do that all the time for clothing and things,
Yeah,
all the time.
and when I was in Arizona back in January of this year, my sister Shane and her husband took me to a Goodwill, and I found 5 awesome T-shirts. One was a Hey Arnold T-shirt. One was the Dr. Pepper T-shirt, and another one said "Deplorable Lives Matter," which seems like a kind of political T-shirt, but don't get that. But don't get me wrong, I love it, but I would never consider myself deplorable.
That is definitely a political T-shirt. It's been made political.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. But there are some awesome T-shirts that I found when I went to the Goodwill, and this one I did not get at the Goodwill, but it was at some form of clothing store down in Minnesota before I came down here to Minnesota.
Sure. Well, good for you, man. By the way, Posh Notions, you're more than welcome to come up. Ghana, how you doing? Welcome to the show. And yes, it is Bob behind the Muscle Car Appraisal. How you doing, Bob? Good to see you, man. Nice.
Excuse me.
So, Angel, that begs the question, though. Are you going to get a job? Is that what?
Yeah, my job that I'm looking to getting is a job at a movie theater because if you guys notice, I love doing entertainment. Like I love making you guys laugh, but it's not only that. I also love the TV shows and movies because if just the camera was able to go 360 degrees or be able to move at a motion like a camera on a cell phone, you'll see the shelf over there. That's a shelf full of movies, and that shelf over there is full of movies as well. So I have a very big DVD/Blu-ray collection,
Mm-hmm.
and I also enjoy recording TV shows and movies on a DVD that's recordable. Because I have about the 30 DVDs like these with various shows on them. So I'm an entertainment kind of guy, both TV shows, movies, and comedy. And some people have suggested that I would be great for a job as an announcer, since I have like a humongous voice. And some people also recommended I'd be a great stand-up comedian with my humor that I do. But don't get me wrong, I love comedy, but I'm not gonna strike it on the third roll.
Well, those are all good suggestions, and of course, do what you enjoy. That's what I would always say.
Well, believe it or not, the first job that I ever tried was a local video rental store in my area. It was called Premier Video. It wasn't like a national chain, it was a regional chain down in my area. And there was also a video store called Take Two Video. And because I wanted to work at a video rental store before DVD rental stores became non-existent anymore because of streaming services like Hulu and Netflix.
Yeah, they killed a lot of that industry. Yeah, it was inevitable though.
Yep. But it was bound to come, and with streaming services taking over and people doing cord cutting more nowadays, sooner or later, cable and internet providers might see their own form of business being no more as well.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know when it'll be, but it probably, I'm guessing maybe in the next 10 years, cable services will be no more, and the cable will just go down to internet. Because internet has been a big deal since the advent in the mid-1990s, and nowadays people have to have a Wi-Fi connection for like their smart TVs, their PS4s, and hell, you even need your internet connection to this video calling show.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, and I think you're right as well that maybe cable is on its way out. I know that we're.
Yeah, because I know internet will never be on its way out, but cable may be on its way out in the near future. I don't know exactly, because I have no DeLorean and I have no time machine to take me forward.
Yeah, that would both be a blessing and a curse, but
Yeah.
yeah, I know and that's why we're ready to cut the cord is because it's almost useless now. We never watch regular television. It's just on for background noise, and that's just wasting money. So we're cutting the cord, and we're just going to go straight with interwebs stuff.
But for me, I still have the cord, because the only reason why I ever really have cable and such is to have a form of a DVR recording of it. Because for me, this one thing that you guys will know about me today, and that is I'm a huge avid Price is Right fan, and I know there are many people in here, but growing up in the early to mid 2000s, when I was loving the show more than ever before, when Bob Barker was still hosting, I wanted to figure out a way to record it, because I always missed the show when I was at school, and I wanted to be able to record it, to watch it when I got back home from school. And one of my staff started recommend to record it, but I didn't know how to record or schedule recording on a VHS back when VHSs were still relevant in the early 2000s, became extinct in about 2005. So I was recording the Price is Right episodes, and that's why I went from recording to DVR, because the DVR is more simpler, and because you could skip the commercials, and I can skip David's promotions for his new film as well, to just get straight to the feature presentation if I wanted to. And that's what I do, is I just have cable for the use of a DVR to record The Price is Right.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, and I love the way you categorize VHS as being extinct. That was a great way to put that.
Yeah, because do you see a VHS anywhere on the shelves with today's newer films? No. I mean, people still have the old systems, because there are still people who enjoy VHS, but you don't see VHS as a format being produced anymore, nor do you see VHS being used as a recordable source as DVDs are nowadays. And so, yeah.
That's true. That's true. Although I still have two VCRs, I'm ashamed to admit. But it's really just to transfer the old ones. But hey, listen, Angel, I've got posh notions in the wings here. So,
all right, you have a great day, and David, please take one of my Listerine ready towels to get that morning producer breath bad mouth out of you. Please, I love you, man, but clean that stinky producing breath of yours with these. Hashtag not sponsored. Bye.
see, Angel. Yes, hashtag not sponsored. I'm looking at you, Listerine. Although I could probably use it occasionally myself. No, that's okay, Jenny Mars. That's okay at all. That's absolutely okay. All right, let's do this. Oh, we're not gonna hear crickets, are we, Bonnie?
No, hold on. Crap. just yourself. No, I was actually gonna say that when I logged in. We don't have any crickets today. We just have a Sebastian. Say hi.
Oh, wait! Don't do that yet. I don't have you. I don't have you
okay.
live yet. I wanted to get your name up there. There we go. How are you, Bonnie?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm just fine. I'm actually feeling pretty good this morning. Thank you.
I was happy to catch you because kids went back to school this week, and migrating my 6-year-old and 2-year-old into the same room. So I've been going. I see. I've been falling asleep before like 9:30 most nights because I lay down to try to get them to go to sleep, and then I'm just out.
I hear you. I've been there, done that.
So yeah, he's So yeah, like I said, we have no crickets right now, but we have Sebastian. Say hi.
Hello, Sebastian.
So he said hello. I think I've got him occupied for about 5 minutes. Made him a lawn chair car ramp. So
five minutes is golden,
maybe.
Is it not?
Right? Yes. Yes. But yeah, I was actually super excited to see when it popped up this morning because I'm like, oh, I can still get on the show or still listen in because I tried to listen in. I think it was the dream one and like ironically fell asleep because I was so tired.
Well, if that's not an advertisement for my show, I don't think anything is.
No, it has nothing to do with you. It's literally that getting up at 6 o'clock again is, and the little one waking up multiple times a night has just been wreaking havoc on my sleep. So.
Oh yeah. Well, you know as well as I do that is relatively temporary. And
yeah.
I've
got a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old, so I remember this.
Oh yes. Well. You've been through the trenches. Yeah.
Yes. I'm about to go through it again.
Well, that begs the question though. Why did you decide to go through it again?
We didn't actually.
Surprised?
Super surprised. So somewhat TMI. My husband had a vasectomy after our daughter, and we had Jameson.
Mm-hmm.
And then when right before I got pregnant with Sebastian, I was having some lady issues. My tubes were blocked, so they decided to take them both out. Wanted to have the surgery, had the surgery, was checked for endometriosis and a bunch of other things, so lots of messing around. And about 3 weeks later, I was super sick and I thought I had an infection. And the nurse said, oh, could you be pregnant? And I'm like, oh, did you look at my file? No. And I was like, shit. Sure enough, somehow with 2 blocked tubes and that surgery, this little guy survived.
And a vasectomy.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Well, that has been known to happen for sure.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. They have no idea because obviously blocked tubes mean, certain things aren't happening and It's okay. You're okay. I know they're noisy.
5 minutes must be up.
We live on a main road and he's been walking to the bus stop with us.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how the diesel engines, when they downshift, it's really loud.
Yeah,
one
Jake
startled
brakes.
the crap out of him. Yeah, the other day. So now anytime a larger vehicle drives up or down our road, he's like covering his ears.
Oh, yeah.
he's just gonna unfortunately have to get used to it. We're not moving anytime soon. So I think he'll get over it
Oh, for
eventually. I
sure.
think it's just that initial shock just scared the hell out of him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that happens.
yeah. And their ears are so sensitive. They haven't been deafened yet like the rest of us. So
Right. Right.
there.
Right.
Is that better? There you go.
Well, I got to be honest. I kind of miss that, but fortunately, for most of us, when we're missing that time of our kids' lives, then grandchildren pop up, and you get to relive it. But the nice part about it is grandchildren have batteries. You get to hand them back
right
to their parents.
Right. Exactly. And I keep thinking about the fact that like our house is probably never gonna be like devoid of children. Like it's by the time these guys start to get older, my other two will be, adults and possibly having kids of their own. Hopefully not too soon.
Yeah, it's far too soon right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, one just graduated last year and one's graduating this year. So
Wow, you're busy. You are busy.
yeah, a little bit. But this guy's the only one left at home right now. But yeah, I just wanted to jump in while I had a chance and say I'm really glad that you're doing the Friday show because at least that gives me a chance to watch live versus what I mean. I like to watch the replays too, but I like the interaction, with people.
Yeah. One of the reasons I started this channel, of course, it's so much fun. When they're good people. Were you watching?
Yeah, and I get so little like in-person adult interaction anymore. I mean, most of my conversation is with the little guys. So.
Oh yeah.
You don't realize how much you miss it until you get like a little bit, and then you just crave. You like lock yourself in the bathroom for 10 minutes. Just leave me alone for 10 minutes. Talking to people my age.
Well, it's funny you say that because my wife was she was an at-home mom for like the first 3 years, and she did the same thing. Cabin fever and lack of adult conversation got to her because I was gone most of the day. In fact, I was gone more than most of the day because I was pulling double shifts on a lot of times. And
my husband too.
Yeah, she had to go back into the workforce. Had to.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's.
Well, fortunately for you. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'll wait for Sebastian.
He's. It's not sunny, dude. Okay, get your hat then. Come on, you got this. That's one thing I don't tolerate is whining.
Yeah.
He's at that age. Everybody talks about the terrible twos. He's going to be 3 next month. All of mine didn't seem to hit that until late 2s, early 3s, and then just like doubled it.
Yeah, double down on terrible 2s.
I'm like, at least it's short-lived, but man, the tantrums, I'm just like, dude, you're number 4. Like I've been through this already multiple times.
Yes.
No, you're not getting anything from me until you ask nicely.
Exactly. I love that.
Like you're not dying of thirst. You're not dehydrated. You're not starving. Like, other than when they're sick, obviously, really not feeling well, that's different. But yeah, even then I'm kind of like trying to coax them back, calm them down and coax them into speaking appropriately, asking nicely for things. Cause that's the one thing I can't stand is watching some of these kids running around demanding things from their parents and they're jumping.
Oh yeah.
You're just cultivating horrible behavior.
Yes.
Nobody in the outside world is going to respond to that in a positive way.
That is so true. That is so true, Bonnie. I'm happy as hell to hear you say that. Gives me hope for humankind.
Yeah, sorry. Are you taking him inside? That's my oldest.
Oh.
He actually, I say this, it's hard to phrase, but my oldest is on the spectrum, on the higher end of the,
you talking about the autism?
Asperger's, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Autism spectrum. So meltdowns were a regular thing, and meltdowns are different than tantrums. Meltdowns usually result from sensory overload, system overload, having different perspectives on situations and whatnot. But I got lots of extra practice about learning myself, and then teaching coping mechanisms for younger kids. So I feel really blessed and grateful that he was my first,
Yes.
because that kind of set the precedence for everybody else. Versus had I kind of been going along parenting and maybe he had been the fourth, I'd have been like, whoa.
Yeah. What is going on? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it was still crazy learning experience for all of us, but it definitely helped me understand the capabilities kids really have that most people don't realize.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the responsibility and the independence and all the things that kids do now at younger ages that, like, I didn't do as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely,
Well,
taught me a lot, that's for sure, about human behavior and psychology and all of those things.
yeah, and arguably, very importantly, would be patience,
Yes,
because it takes
patience.
patience is what those parents that you were just talking about lack,
Yeah,
giving them
yeah, because
everything
they
they
just want to
want.
make it stop right now, make
Yep.
it stop now, and they don't realize that the more, and I'm guilty of this too. I've definitely had my moments where I'm just like, okay, but
Oh, we all are. We
but
all have our limits. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but you gotta balance that.
yeah. Are you going in with your brother? Are you taking him downstairs?
No,
I thought that's why you came to get him. No?
no, yeah.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure I keep track of him. Yeah. Huh? I'm live. Say hi.
Total slice of life here, folks.
Yeah, yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah. Well, yeah, you've talked to Mike on several occasions. I remember the first time I got on with Mike on a video call. It wasn't live. It was just us talking about YouTube.
Oh,
And I tell you, you want to talk about patience?
you
Mike
talking
Van
about Mike Van
Duzy.
Duzy? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Patience, because it was just the beginning of summer, or maybe it was a weekend, but I had all four of them were at home, and the one was trying to keep running out. Sebastian kept running out the back gate, and there's an alleyway back there, so he can't be out there. And so he was watching my phone do this, bouncing up and down. And like, I'll be right back because I'm going to yell, and I don't want to yell in your ear and that kind of stuff. And it's just constant, like a half-hour conversation took us, I think, like an hour and a half. And that's pretty common when you have little guys. But like, he just had no issues with it at all. And that was just great, because that was a lot of what I ran into in the beginning of getting on social. Was other people's lack of patience stopped me from doing a lot of things, because it was like, I can't lock them in a cage. Like, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. And
In most states, yes.
yeah, right. But like, it's my everyday life. I'm not gonna, I can't just up and walk out the door and
Oh no.
you
Yeah, you
know.
can't put it on hold. Not at
No,
this stage.
that's
Nope.
it. That's
Mm-hmm.
exactly it. It's not, and even nap time, Sebastian does still nap, thank God. But in the summertime, that doesn't mean anything for the rest of them. So,
Exactly. Yeah,
but
nap times are golden sometimes, aren't they?
yeah, that's my 2-hour focus on anything that I need like actual concentration for, because the rest of the day, he's getting older, so it'll get easier, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still, yeah, my concentration is lacking a good part of the day.
Oh yeah.
And I don't like to put him, like, he has tablet time, but I don't like to use that unless it's absolutely necessary. I don't like to use that as like a babysitter, kind of like we did, TV was back in the day. Now
Sure.
it's tablets for
Mm-hmm.
devices.
Yeah.
So that's why I set him out here with a car ramp, something different.
Absolutely. Outdoors, kids. Get outdoors. Parents, get your kids out of doors.
Yeah, well, you can tell. I mean, it's kind of cleaned up right now, but yeah, our backyard is usually pretty trashed, and it doesn't look like any of my neighbors, because none of them have little kids. Yeah, I know it's toys, but still, it's from the street, it looks like a mess. It's like, I don't even care anymore. I'm like past that for the most part, unless I have to cut the grass.
Oh yeah.
But I definitely get glaring looks about it.
How many toys have you chewed up with your lawnmower?
Actually not too many, because we're in Pennsylvania. I know you're not too far away, but we have a lot, like like crabgrass,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so it doesn't get super high.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay. So
can
you see
usually
them.
spot. Yeah, we've lost a few Nerf darts, a Hot Wheel or two, some
Yeah.
Legos, but nothing too bad. Nothing major.
Yeah, I used to chew up a pretty good amount of them, and now it's all dog toys since I'm an empty nester. But I still get a lot of them.
Yeah. Plus,
I,
things are so brightly colored now.
yeah, that's true. That is
Like,
true.
I think that's how I miss some of the Hot Wheels because they kind of like blend in. And
Mm-hmm.
the Nerf darts are some of them are green, which I think is really dumb, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I guess we have to go buy more. But
Oh, those things are a dime a dozen, and you will find those when you're an empty nester. You will find those for the rest of your life in that yard if you stay there.
that's what I've
Believe me.
heard. I've heard I get my neighbor throws over a handful from her yard every once in a while. I know they're all probably down behind the hedges again. And yeah,
Yeah, they must be getting a lot of use then. I know my
yeah,
my boys. He just moved into a place a few months ago, and apparently they had kids that have those Nerf darts, and they just show up everywhere. I
yep.
mean everywhere.
Yeah, the next place I need to check is my gutter because I know they've shot some up there
Yeah.
and my gutter's starting to act a little funky. I'm like,
Hmm.
that's all I need is Nerf darts stuck in the sewer.
Well,
So,
if you have a chance, put in those. If you can't put in the screens on top, put in those captures right before the downspouts. That will solve a
oh,
lot
okay.
of your problems. They just slip right in the hole, inside the gutter on the downspout,
Yeah,
and they will
that's
keep leaves from going down there. Now you got to clean them out, of course, but it keeps them from clogging the downspouts.
okay. I'll have to definitely look into that because we've got quite a bit gutter here and then on the garage too. And
Hmm.
I found all kinds of strange things in the gutters.
As we all do.
So, but I want to say thanks. They just won the house. I don't know what they're doing. I want to say thanks for letting me jump on, and hopefully I'll be able to make this, come on Fridays. I'd still like to talk about the campaign at some point.
Oh,
I had to put some of it on hold just because my health kind of took a nosedive for a couple weeks.
uh-huh.
Um, but I'm going to be doing a name change, I
Hmm.
think, after talking to Mike and John and a couple other people because my name doesn't really fit what I'm doing on YouTube
Hmm. Hmm.
or across social media. And speaking of Nerf gun, don't you shoot you! Ow!
Speak of the devil.
Shit! Ugh,
Did
I
they hear
can't
us?
even ground that one.
They couldn't hear you. You're on headphones. I was wondering if
Sorry,
they
I'm
heard us
so
talking
sorry.
about them.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, and I didn't. I bought generic ones because I bought a giant case of them,
Uh-huh.
and the tip they hurt, and I didn't realize like you could. I mean, basically you have to break them in,
Yes.
but those when they come fresh out of the package, they're plastic tip. Those sting. They leave welts. I'm like, I never would have bought them had I known they were that. Like, especially for the little guys.
Yeah.
Sebastian will get hit in the crossfire, and he's bawling his eye. Yeah, I see. Thanks. He took it. Sebastian took the Nerf dart off his big brother. That's hilarious. Threw it outside. So,
You got an inside man working for you.
yeah, right. Don't shoot mommy. Don't shoot
Yeah, don't
mommy.
shoot mommy.
So, but yeah, I wanted to say thank you, and hopefully, like I said, I'm hoping that once we get more into the school year and sleep gets better, I'll be able to jump on some of the later shows as well. But I'm glad that there's this alternative because I miss seeing everybody. I really enjoy doing that every night.
Well, we love having you, and I'm so glad you were able to come on. And
Yeah.
you're welcome anytime. I'm interested in the changes you're going through with your channeling your social media. So you have to keep us posted on that for sure.
Yeah, I'm still going to be making the same content, but as John and Mike pointed out, my name doesn't give any clue to what I'm doing with the campaign. And although I'm going to be posting personal videos on there, they're still related to the building of the campaign, the Unbreakable campaign.
Hmm.
So I'm now trying to figure out a name change that describes me but includes the campaign. So I'm going to probably write down some ideas and then bounce them off different people, pop in like your lives, some other people's lives, and just say, what do you guys what do you think of when you hear this name? Does that make sense for what I'm doing? Because I hadn't honestly thought about that part of it
Hmm.
until they brought it up. And I was like, you know what, you're right. If that's the impression you're getting, that means that's probably pretty common.
Yes.
And that's not going to work. So, especially not for branding.
Right, right. And branding
So,
is very, very important.
yeah.
One, for
Yeah.
getting your name out, but also for helping people understand, what your mission is. So
Exactly.
awesome,
Exactly.
awesome. Well,
So,
Bonnie, you're welcome back anytime to bounce things off me and my great audience here. And
thank you.
yeah, absolutely. And wish you a lot of luck with the little guy.
Thanks. Yeah, he's a handful. Though like I said, things have calmed down. Him and his brother were starting to like literally claw each other's eyes out there for the last couple weeks of summer. Sebastian mostly is the scratching thing.
Mm, it's a
Jameson's
phase.
pretty patient. Yeah, he's pretty patient and forgiving for the most part. But at the same time, I'm like, you can't let him beat on you. Like, hit him back once. Not don't hurt him, but like, let him know he can't do that to you. Because me putting him in timeout is obviously not working.
Yeah.
It's not enough of a punishment. So
Yeah, sometimes you got to learn by hard knocks. I remember my father allowing me and my sister to just go at each other instead of trying to split us up, and that stopped us from going after each other.
yeah, I
Literally.
believe it. And see,
Hmm.
this is all new territory for me because my older two had a completely different dynamic. They did a lot of parallel play
Hmm.
and really didn't step on each other's toes too much until they got way older.
Yeah.
And you know, they basically learned how to problem solve. Too many trucks. We can go back in the house if it's bothering your ears. They learned how to problem solve and compromise pretty early on.
Yeah.
Because unless things were starting to get super nasty, which they rarely did, I kind of just stayed out of it. Or if
Hmm.
one would come to tattle, I'm like, you need to go work it out. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yes.
You're not dying, so you're not bleeding. you know,
Well,
very
oddly,
old school.
yeah, very
You
old
know,
school, and I love hearing that. If you, that's the thing. We were just talking about that a little bit ago. If you're solving problems for your kids and not allowing them to solve problems, they don't have the tools to solve those
exactly,
problems. Yes,
exactly. And
love.
that's the biggest thing is about, especially when they're getting older. I mean, they would get mad at me frequently about different things. And I'm like, look, I know you don't want to hear this, but when you turn 18, I legally have no intervention. You need to learn how to handle it, especially with my oldest. Like, he got bullied something awful,
Hmm.
and um, people were kind of astounded by my somewhat hands-off approach, but
Hmm.
they also didn't see what was going on behind the scenes with him. Like, there was a lot of psychology involved with and repetition, because social concepts that you and I would pick up on fairly easily would take him months and months and months of reinforcement to kind of start to recognize on his own.
Yeah.
Um, but I actually got in trouble with the school one time. Now that we're talking about this, they sent CYF to my house. He was 17,
Hmm.
a month away from 18, and wasn't going to school. And I got on the phone with the new principal and I said, what do you want me to do? I was like, I can encourage, I can motivate, I can do this, I can do that. I said, I cannot physically pick up this child that is bigger than me and put him on a school bus.
You're right.
And they sent my CYF to my house for neglect.
I'll be damned.
And they dismissed it. Like, once I told the guy what was going on, and we were already involved in, different services to help him and whatnot. And,
Hmm.
he was like, there's nothing here. This was a waste of my time, kind of thing. And I was like, well, it's the truth. They need to learn to do this stuff on their own, or they're never going to be able to do it. Like,
That's right.
no offense, but I don't want 40-year-old children living in my house unless it's medically necessary.
Not at all. Not at all.
Like, we're supposed to prepare them for, otherwise it's a complete shock. Like, I'm really curious to see how some of these kids that go out into the world with no sense of responsibility and whatnot, how they function, to be
Well,
honest
aren't we
with you.
seeing it though? I mean, some of the whole snowflake meme has developed because there are so many examples of kids who are just
Yeah.
not adequately prepared for life.
And I think I just haven't seen as much of it personally, just because you tend to surround yourself with people who are, like you and my closest friends have similar parenting styles. So
Hmm.
because I don't have much tolerance for that entitlement
Same here.
crap.
Same here. And
Oh,
I don't have any people that I know in my circle that are that way. I can only do what everyone else does and watch examples, out there on the news, on YouTube, and all that kind of thing. But yeah, anecdotally, I don't have any examples of that either, Bonnie. But I guess we've already surrounded ourselves with like minds, and
right.
that's why.
Yeah, and the people that I did have that were friends that were doing that with their kids, we drifted apart. Like I kind of stopped making contact
Yeah,
because it was such a stress point, and it just wasn't worth it,
that's true.
you know, because they were talking poorly about me, like, oh, well, why do you make him do blah 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 blah? And I'm like, well, why aren't you making your kids do blah 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 blah?
Yeah.
Like, because they're my kids and those are your kids. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's how I was. I mean, my dad grew up during the Depression, so I was raised very differently than a lot of kids my
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
There was no sense of entitlement, like none.
Right. Right.
Like if you ever said I deserve blah 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 to your, like, that was cause for ground. I don't think I remember ever saying anything to that effect to my
Oh.
parents, because it was made very clear that that kind of stuff just didn't fly.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. I found it unbelievably difficult to even ask my parents for something I wanted, whether it be money or an item. I just couldn't bring myself, and I attributed that to the way they brought me up. Right.
Yeah, and see, and that's a good point. Like I was babysitting at 11, like
Hmm.
other people's kids, getting paid for it,
Sure. Sure.
and that's something you don't even see anymore.
I
Not at that
know.
age.
I know. And I can't figure out
So
why that is outside of what we already talked about, but just like, good
I
Lord,
think
what are
I
we
honestly
doing to
think
our
a lot
kids?
of it is attributed to fear.
Yeah.
Like they fear the worst about what's going to happen if they give these kids some responsibility, because they make one poor decision, and rather than trying to guide them with better decisions, they
Hmm.
just start making decisions for them.
Yes. Yes.
I have a close friend who has a son the same age as mine, same diagnosis, and the way decision making has happened for him and for her son is completely different.
Hmm.
They started adopting that. Well, he can't make good decisions, so we have to make them. I'm like, he's never going to learn then.
Right. Right.
Like,
Wow.
let him do dumb stuff, suffer the consequences, learn not to do that same dumb thing again. Like,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know,
What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. I'm a firm believer in that.
yeah, yeah,
You've got to experience so that you can deal.
yeah. Accountability
Yes.
is huge, huge,
Yes.
huge, huge.
Yes. And it's something that's going by the wayside, which is so
Yeah.
sad. So sad.
And I think part of that too is, and I hate to get off topic here, but the way the school systems anymore, and even the local magistrate and court systems,
Hmm.
things that, now I understand that we're responsible for our kids until they're 18 and whatnot, but they're levying like fines and stuff on parents for not doing XYZ. Like say they miss so many days of school, or they're not cooperating with this, or they do something wrong. And it's like, there's just got to be a better way, because you're putting that responsibility on the parents to pay the fines and whatnot. Like, why
Yeah.
not make the kid do community service? Like my kid did community service once because he got in trouble.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
this is what you have to do when you mess up, versus, it's all about like the money now, and like the schools, even it's they're taking the responsibility that could be on the kids and giving it to the parents, and it's kind of
Well,
backwards.
it's the same thing, right? I mean, those people that you're
Yeah,
talking about doing that are the same parents who wouldn't put responsibility on their own kids.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's self-fulfilling prophecy, actually. It's like, okay, now we're having to deal with those same parents who actually have a bit of power and control.
yeah,
And
that's a good point,
it
because like
sucks.
I ran into a lot of, like, of course I helped him get services or whatever he needed, but
Hmm.
he had to put in the work for whatever. You're here, you need to be here, you need to put in the work, this XYZ to get here, and I can't do that for you. I'll be
Right.
here to help you along, but I can't, and I'm not willing to do those things for you. So
I hear
um
you.
careful with those, please.
Well, listen, Bonnie, we're coming up on the top of the hour,
Oh,
and
wow.
I
Okay.
am so glad to know that there are more people out there like you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Honestly, I mean, there should be so many more. And the nice part about this is that other people are going to see this and hopefully, you know, rethink their life choices.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. It was just kind of,
Yeah.
but you're right.
So I do appreciate you coming on. And like I said, you're always welcome. I want you to come back on and bounce ideas off the audience and me, of course, and love talking to you. But I'm going camping again this weekend, so I'm going to have
Oh,
to shut her down.
that sounds fun. Yeah,
Yeah, it
enjoy,
is.
and I'll catch you sometime next week.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Bonnie. We
Right.
will talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
You bet.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. And if I could get my mouse over here, I will fade out there. All right, there we go. that is so that is warms my heart. It really does. I'm so glad that there are still parents out there that believe in their kids, you know, being responsible and taking tasks on so that they can learn from their mistakes. Because you know, if you're a parent and you're taking care of all your kids' mistakes, they have learned nothing, and you are bringing up kids that have learned nothing. So don't do that. Let them fall. You gotta let kids fall in order to figure out how to pick themselves back up because you can't be there all the time. All right. I did see Jim Wallace, alias Mr. Graphic, come in. How you doing, Jim? Good to see you, my friend. Lee and Ladybug, welcome to the show. And back from the sky, good to see you as well. It looks like the internet connection solidified here in the toward the end of the show. I'm glad about that. But like I said, I'm going camping, so I'm going to shut this one down. Listen, guys, again, Sunday Smash this Sunday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Full panel. We're going to break Zoom hopefully one of these days. And BLT Gamers, how you doing? Awesome thumbnail. Thank you. How else do you prepare children? By giving them chores and responsibilities they need to take care of. Exactly. And reward them for that. If you're going to have your kids do chores, give them allowance for it. It's payment and responsibility if they're not old enough to get a job. Don't just start throwing money at them. That's another good point. Thank you, back from the sky. Appreciate that. All right, folks, I've got to head out. So you know what that means. We're gonna call this one. We're gonna put this one in the books. I appreciate you all being here, seriously. And Angel and Bonnie, thanks so much for coming on. For those of you watching this after it's processed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Who knows, you may want to come on or just talk to these wonderful people in the chat that you can see right over here. And remember to always treat others the way you want to be treated. If we all did that, this world would be a fantastic place. Have a good weekend, folks. We will see you live.